Hello. So my current animal video is taking a bit longer to make than my previous ones. So I'm taking a break from it. And because I'm having browser issues. But I did want to watch the next Nick Shirley video. And I figured why not just do a reaction to it. So I'll be watching this today.
What do you think about the Stop Nick Shirley Act?
I think you're a psycho scam artist.
They don't want to end their fraud racket. A lot of the politicians, they benefit from the political organizations, and so they want this racket to continue. They don't want the truth to get out.
Stop fraud investigations, but you're the one who signed off and you're a co-author of it. Here in California, they are trying to pass the Stop Nick Shirley Act. The official title of this bill is AB 2624, and today we're going to be confronting the legislature.
Crazy calling it just straight up calling it the Stop Nick Shirley Act. Crazy work.
Legislators that are trying to pass this bill, and if this bill were to get passed, instead of going after the fraudsters, they're trying to make it criminal to go after the people that are committing this fraud. For instance, it would become criminal to film and reveal info on taxpayer-funded immigration services like healthcare, which would include daycare, hospices. It also covers counseling services, translation services, and immigration legal services. So for instance, if the Quality Learning Center was inside of California, it would be illegal to expose them. It would
So just straight up the immigration stuff then?
make it illegal to film government-funded NGOs. And this bill essentially wants to shield the info of immigrant support services from the public. So your tax dollars, you'd have no idea where it's going because it would then become confidential and you would not be able to see how much money that NGO is getting if it's going towards immigrant services. And what makes this bill super interesting is the lady who created this bill, her name is Mia Bonta. Her husband is the Attorney General of California named Rob Bonta. You cannot make this up. So you have the Attorney General who's supposed to prosecute and go after the fraudsters, and then you have his wife who's trying to pass bills to go after the people exposing the fraud. Like, seriously, this is absolutely crazy. And the AG, Rob Bonta, just a few days ago said they were cracking down on the fraud way before certain people came into the state.
We've been doing it successfully before certain people in this country decided to think about it for the first time.
However,
I wonder who that was. Oh man. It's, in my opinion, if you're working one of these jobs, it's like I understand the whole idea behind not wanting people to be harassed, but if you're working like some sort of government or welfare related job, you should have the expectation that people can come up to you and ask you questions about it. Like I don't get it.
it was only after I exposed over $100 million in fraud they actually made any arrest here inside of California. Let's say this bill gets passed. What could happen to you if you expose fraud or go and look into?
Yeah, it's also like, I mean, I really do think Nick Shirley's been doing a lot. Like it, even if the way he goes about it can seem a little iffy, you cannot deny the amount of people who have just had this brought to their attention through his videos. I think it was the Somali fraud one had over 100 million views on it. Like it's crazy.
Immigration services. Well, you could receive a $4,000 fine underneath a civil fine, a $10,000 fine if it's criminal, and a $50,000 fine if it becomes a felony. You may also face potential imprisonment and your content be forced to be taken down.
And that's a big one too, especially if it can be retroactive. I don't see how anyone can look at this and think it's a good thing.
This is a complete violation of the First Amendment, as they are trying to take down and suppress your own speech, make it so you can't film in public, which is taking away your freedom of press. There's a whole lot of issues with this bill, and today we're going to be confronting those that co-authored, signed, and passed this bill. And so truly, every single day here in America, you are learning more and more about the fraud that is taking place. And if you want to become a member of the Anti-Fraud Club and help me as I go all about the country to expose this fraud, go join at antifraudclub.com. It is completely free, and hoodies are also available on the site. And
I've
really
been
quick,
wanting to
let's
get
go
one of
speak with
those.
an
I just
assemblyman
need to
who
set
knows
aside the
more
money
about
to
this
do
bill
that.
before we go and confront them. Now let's get into the video. What's the truth about the Stop Nick Shirley Act?
So you've heard a lot of people trying to call you a liar. Why don't we just read the bill? I think that's what everybody just needs to know. So in
What does the
this
bill
section
say?
of AB 2624, which we call the Stop Nick Shirley Act, it says a person, business, or association shall not publicly post or publicly display, disclose, or distribute on the internet or social media the internet, the personal information or image of a designated immigration support service provider, employee, or volunteer if that individual or individual entity or organization authorized on the act of their behalf. And that's just some of the language.
And what does that mean, immigration support services provider?
You're see, and that is where the devil is in the details. Designated Immigration Support Services Facility means a facility where immigration support services are provided,
Legal mumbo
including,
jumbo.
but not limited to, nonprofit organization offices, Department of Justice recognized entities, community legal clinics,
What?
law offices, accredited representative sites that provide immigration legal services, and healthcare facilities. They threw that into designated immigration support service facilities, healthcare facilities.
And healthcare is at the very bottom of this. But that's where a lot of the fraud's taking place, inside of Medi-Cal. For instance, the hospices, the daycares are with CalWorks, but they're with anything to have to do with immigrants, essentially could not and is actually punishable.
You're 100% right. And that's where, again, the
Of
devil is
course.
in the details. Their definition of harassment is repeated, unreasonable, and unwelcome conduct. What is unwelcome conduct?
That's could literally be anything. Anything they say.
Simply you asking questions today, can that be considered unwelcome? What do they mean by things that you could generally fear? So if they say the words, I was harassed by Nick Shirley, if you were out videotaping a hospice, you would fall under this because healthcare facilities is a designated immigration support service facility. That is part of the definition. It is written here that if you post this online and they give you a demand made under that paragraph, shall be effective for 4 years, where you could be punished. So what people really need to know is that the
4
state
years.
of California is deciding to punish the journalists out there that are doing the work and exposing the fraud instead of punishing the fraudsters. In a government that diminishes transparency, has something to hide.
And what are some more crazy things about this bill?
There's a section in this bill that says any records or documents pertaining to a program participant shall be held confidential.
Program participant.
So there are workarounds in this bill that will hide information that if you wanted to find online the Quality Learning Center, all of these areas can be now moved around and shifted. They are making it
So they can just completely hide things now with this thing.
harder to find the people's money when we should be making it easier, when we have already proven that in 3 cases alone in the state of California, $500 million in fraud. Thank you for that.
And so essentially an NGO or
Yeah.
a daycare, anything that falls underneath immigration support providers, their information would then become confidential.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly right, is that they can hide it because they have changed the definitions. Designated Immigration Support Services Facility also includes healthcare facilities, also includes nonprofit organizations, and not only that, areas.
I need I need to go check on my rats for a second. Okay, it's just a little dominance tussle, nothing bad. Got one of them is a big complainer. Let's get back into this.
That the Department of Justice actually recognizes those entities. It's such a broad thing, so you can cover everything. And then when you look at those definitions, when I read you the bill, I am reading the physical bill. So when they call you a liar, how? How are you lying? How, when you have all of the information in front of you? And it's a front. When you sit down and you actually talk about it, you know it's a coordinated effort to steal from the people of California.
In that same day, an assemblyman, Carl
important
DeMaio,
information.
brought forth a motion to push for more transparency on this bill. However, it was then shut down by the Democrats inside of the assembly to not give any more transparency. And as I was explaining this, one of the co-authors passed by, and it's now my time to confront these legislators who are pushing forth this bill. Here's one of the authors of the bill. How are you guys doing? We just want to ask you about the bill and why you guys would pass this bill that really is an attack on free speech.
I am not even sure what you're talking about.
Sure.
You said an author. I don't think.
Yes.
I'm an
Did you
author.
pass out? Did you sign to pass this bill? The AB 26?
No, I don't
24?
know what you're talking about.
Every time, dude.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You do not.
No,
Are
you
you
guys
serious?
are just talking about something.
We're talking about something random. Okay.
Kind of like
Sasha,
it's
how are you doing? We just want to ask.
kind of like they should be able to answer these. Almost every one of them is going to be just like her, isn't it? How much you want to bet?
Ask you about the bill AB 2624. Why would you sign off on that? It's a direct violation of the First Amendment, and it makes it harder for people to expose fraud here.
We have Ledge Council. They check the constitutionality of all our bills as we're writing them. I work on fraud issues. You'd know that if you look at some of the work I did on the budget
Okay,
subcommittee.
amazing. So, Mia Bonta, her husband's Attorney General of the Attorney General of California.
A nothing
and
answer.
It was only until I exposed fraud that they actually cracked down on the fraud and made some arrests here, especially with the hospices. And do you know that if this bill were to pass, it'd make it illegal for someone to go after fraud, especially if it's based off of immigrants, for instance, Armenians in California?
No, I think that that's a misinterpretation of the bill, but I'm happy to talk with you more about it.
Sure,
And
buddy.
Don't you
Fraud and
worry.
investigations into fraud are something that's been happening for a very long time. The Attorney General handles those cases.
You
This
think
is
it's
an
a little
ongoing
weird
issue.
that the wife of the Attorney General, Mia
Oh,
Bonta,
let
is
me
now
let me
pushing
look
this bill?
up something real quick. Let's see here. Yeah, it's legal stuff takes a really long time. It's still, I guess, too soon to have any flat results. Let's get back into this.
That literally goes against the First Amendment.
No, I actually don't. I don't think that this bill violates the First Amendment. I mean,
Really?
that's the whole purpose. We have Ledge Council and Ledge attorneys that talk with us about this. Constitutionality is really important to the work.
So your bill criminalizes publication of images recorded in public. Do you believe the government has the right to punish journalists for filming in public space?
No, I think that is a complete misinterpretation of actually the
No, because
piece
if
of legislation.
That's literally what
that
it
is
says,
not.
though.
That's literally what happened. Speaker Rivas, how are you doing? What do you think about the Stop Nick Shirley Act, AB 2624?
I don't know anything about it.
And do you think there's any conflict of interest there with
What
Mia
did I
Bonta
say?
and her husband being the AG?
He's just gonna damn.
That just shows you everything you need to know. These people won't even answer the questions. So you signed off, you're a co-author of the AB 2624 bill. What made you want to sign off on this bill that would literally make it so NGOs don't have to disclose their money?
Yeah, we'd have to go back and look at the
You can kind of see he's getting a little better at talking to people on the spot. He's getting better at it.
materials from that committee hearing.
Okay, and what, for instance, just answer the question. Why does your bill apply to organizations receiving taxpayer money? Shouldn't publicly funded entities have more transparency, not less?
Restate the question?
Yeah, so entities that receive money from the government shouldn't there be more transparency and not less?
Yes.
I think we want to make sure that we are being accountable to public funds.
Yes, and so you sign off on a bill
Nothing
that would
answer.
make that harder to have transparency.
Well, I don't think I see it that way. I think that we're making sure that, like, all of our systems are able to get the money out to community and that there's transparency and accountability incorporated.
But you're literally signing off on a bill that would make it.
Your magic words. There's transparency, guys. Even though it'll criminalize being able to go out and talk to these people.
For less transparency, sir.
That's debatable, and I don't
It's
agree.
not debatable.
What does that say? Any records or documents pertaining to a program's participants shall be held, confidential. Which means people won't be able to see it.
They're going for immigration-based services. They're trying to make it harder for money to be disclosed.
Thanks.
Look, they just run off.
Oh,
How are you doing?
I just want to say hi. So, great work. Very
Thank you.
proud of what you're doing.
And how come you think that they're just sign off on a bill that would
Hey.
make it harder for organizations that receive taxpayer dollars to be?
Don't agree with it. I think you're on the right track. This is an attack. It should not be. It's not right. You're doing well.
Thank
There
you
you
very
go.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're a co-author of the Stop Nick Shirley Act. Oh, you know who I am. My name's Nick Shirley, ma'am.
have no
You signed
idea
off on
who
the
you are.
AB 2624 Act.
Sure.
Can you tell us about what you did on that?
I don't even know who you are.
Well, my
Are you a
name's Nick
blogger?
Shirley.
I mean, I don't entirely doubt that. He's a pretty big name, but I mean, politicians and stuff are spending so much time doing other things. I wouldn't have a hard time believing that some of them probably don't even know who he is.
Either way, can you tell me about this assembly bill you're trying to pass?
Shirley.
My name's Nick Shirley,
I
ma'am.
have no idea. I'm sorry.
But
I
could
don't
you
know who
please just
are.
answer any question about the AB 2624 bill? A lot of people are worried about that it's going to
I didn't-
stop
you can
fraud
talk to my
investigations.
team if you want
But you're the
to.
one who signed off and you're a co-author of it. These people are crazy. They can't even answer your questions about the bills that they're co-authoring. Hello, Mr. Lowenthal. How are you doing?
Okay, how are
Doing
you?
great. How do you feel about proposing
Like-
a bill that would put
And what's
$10,000
and what's
fines?
one thing that's kind of funny about this too is they all, like, Nick Shirley isn't just some random guy anymore. Like, most of these people probably know who he is, especially if they're co-authoring this thing. And it's like, I could understand being spooked or not wanting to talk to some random person, but this is Nick Shirley, and like, this would give them the perfect opportunity to explain their points and their beliefs on this thing, because he can actually get this video out to millions of people are probably going to see this. I don't know.
Potential jail time for publishing a video from a parking lot.
Wait, can you say that to me again? Let me
Yeah, so
understand that a
AB
little bit
2624,
more. Okay.
if a journalist were to go and investigate fraud in an immigrant service company, essentially, from the government that receives taxpayer dollars, they could potentially risk receiving a $10,000 fine with this bill you guys are trying to pass.
Well, I need to read the bill.
But you signed off on
You're
the
a
bill. You passed the
co-author,
bill.
brother.
What do you mean I passed the bill? I don't understand.
It's gone through
your question.
It's gone through 2 times and it's been passed.
What 2 times? Where are you referring to? Are you referring to committees?
Yes.
Which
Yeah,
committees?
he's
I can
stumbling
tell
a
you
little
right here if you
there.
Give me a second.
It's unfortunate.
But
Speaking of committee, I'm in the privacy committee right now, but
Yep.
I don't think that bill has passed before my committee.
he's a co-author of it. He's a co-author of that bill. What's your thoughts on this AB 2624?
I'm not making fun of
No.
him or anything, by the way. I would not be able to do this personally. Huge props to him.
Any response? Like, what would make you guys want to pass this?
Thank you.
Do you think it makes it harder for fraud to get discovered here in the United States? Why can't you guys just answer our questions? You guys are the ones who are signing off on these bills. So what do you think about the Stop Nick Shirley Act, AB 2624? You don't know much about it? Or,
I don't know if I know that.
oh, well, can I tell you a little bit about it?
Okay.
So you should know. You should know about it though, because it's kind of your job. So the
Yeah.
Stop Nick Shirley Act, what it does is
All
it
of-
shields immigrant.
Well, to be fair, it's kind of a referring to the bills by like their numbered like designation could be a little confusing, but I don't know.
Oh, all right, we can keep following you.
She's
The
turn
Stop
around.
Shirley Act shields
Oh.
immigration nonprofit workers from public record disclosure. It criminalizes publishing images and videos of covered workers, even taken in public. Grants covered orgs power to demand video takedowns. Imposes a $4,000 civil, $10,000 criminal, $50,000 felony fines per violation. Applies to taxpayer-funded organizations. Would you support a bill that allows all that to take place? It is your job. Would you support a bill? Yes or no, ma'am?
It is your job.
It was so good to meet you. I hope you have a great day.
Ma'am,
Oh,
you're literally
jeez.
working for us, but you won't even answer our own questions. Like, these people get paid by our tax dollars, yet they can't even answer anything. This is super important. People have a lot of questions about the AB 2624 Act,
So this bill,
aka the Stop Nick Shirley Act. Tell us about it.
well, there is no Stop Nick Shirley Act, but the author's not here today, but I hope you can find her.
But you're the co-author of this.
I'm a co-author of many, many bills that protect vulnerable communities in California.
Good, so you should know a lot about this bill. For instance, it
Hold on.
shields immigration.
Hold on one. Hey.
I hate to disrupt the phone call, but this is important. Wait, come on.
Yeah.
Look at that. These guys really
Every
just don't
single
want to answer
one.
any of the questions. These people won't even answer questions about the bills they're co-authoring.
Welcome to Sacramento. You know, I appreciate you exposing waste, fraud, and abuse. It is rampant in California, just like in Minnesota. And if it wasn't for independent journalists like you, that would not be happening in our state. And I applaud you for doing it. And welcome to Sacramento.
Well, these people are literally
That's a
signing
nice
off on
welcome.
these bills, and they're acting like they don't have any idea what it is, when it really is a direct violation of the First Amendment.
Most of them don't read the bills, but they know what it is. The people that you talk to that co-authored the bill, they know what it is.
It's criminal. And then to think that they're getting paid from the taxpayers of California, yet they can't even answer any questions about these bills. That
It makes me wonder how often these guys have bills passed along their desk and they don't even look at it and just sign off on it immediately. Like, how often does that happen? I understand there's got to be a lot of paperwork and stuff, but like, you should be required to read these things before you sign off on them, because you don't know what could be in them.
When the media will approach them, they deflect often, and that's just the job that they do, and they'll continue to vote. And it's ironic, like I'm the author of SB 14. It's made it a strikeable offense to make sex trafficking of a minor a strike offense in the state of California. And Mia Bonta, we had to get the governor engaged to reverse her decision on the committee to not criminalize sex traffickers, but she wants to criminalize you. That's an ironic situation, huh?
That is very ironic. So the AG's wife, the Attorney General's wife, Mia Bonta, she wanted to protect sex traffickers.
She voted, she wouldn't vote, and she did not pass a bill in committee a couple of years ago to make sex trafficking a minor child a serious strikeable offense. So if you get a strike and 3 strikes, your life in prison. She wouldn't vote for it. The governor engaged in that process. The next week they passed it out of committee, but she wouldn't criminalize sex traffickers, but she'll criminalize people like you.
That is insane. Mia Bonta, she sounds like quite the lady.
All this
should meet her one day.
politics stuff.
She didn't show up to her own job today, Mia Bonta didn't.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, is this Scott Wiener right here?
Yep, yes he is.
Yes.
Scott Wiener, how you doing?
That's an
Doing
unfortunate
great.
name.
Can you give us your opinion?
Goodness.
Thank you very much. Can you give us your opinion really quick on
A bit of a
AB
flashbang
2624?
there.
I think you're a psycho scam artist, so.
You think
have a
I am?
good-
Please
Oh.
disclose how you think that.
Is it that
Look
guy,
how they just run
psycho
away. These guys are
scam artist?
fools. It would suck to have the last name Wiener anyways.
I feel
So
bad.
right there,
I feel bad. Kind of feel bad for that door guy.
you think that?
He has to keep opening the door for these people.
Look how they just
He-
run away. These guys are
he almost
fools.
walked right
It
in
would
there.
suck to have the last name Wiener anyways. So right there you have literal co-authors who will not give answers to the bill that they are a part of. Some even said they aren't even co-authors of the bill. And now let's see what the public has to say, and later we'll be speaking with the man, Carl DeMaio, who is in support of getting rid of the Stop Nick Shirley Act. And he'll explain just how dangerous this bill actually is. Do you think they should pass the Stop Nick Shirley Act?
Such an awful president.
We need to stop letting politicians get away with fraud and do better for the people of California here in this state.
And what's your message to Mia Bonta?
She needs to stay in her lane, stop writing BS bills and let journalists do their job and find out the truth and give the money back to Californians.
And do you think there's a conflict of interest when the Attorney General, his wife, is creating laws to make it harder for people to expose fraud?
It's cupping his hands and
that is a conflict of interest. I mean, come on, dude.
And right now in Poly Market, there's a
Dude
46%
looks like a
chance
bit of a
that the
badass.
Stop Nick Shirley Act becomes law by June 30th.
It might happen here because you got some weird fools over here. I mean, seriously.
That's the truth of it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely
Right
insane. 46% chance that the Stop Nick Shirley Act becomes law according to Poly Market right now. Insane.
Yeah.
I see what they've been doing towards you, and
I think it's funny how people have been using like Poly Market and stuff to predict all this stuff.
completely strange. You're just a local news person and you're an amazing journalist, and then somehow they're just like throwing these bites out and like saying that you're this and that. So that's a very weird situation. We're Jesus believers, and we've been praying for the state, and we've been praying for you. He actually, when we were praying, he has sensed that, you know, this state has been drained in terms of wealth and in terms of abundance because of these people with the policies and the bills that they've been passing. And we believe this is a very important year for California to be saved, literally need to be saved and rescued from everything that had gone on for the last 4 to 5 years, ever since with all these agendas going in and everything. And but we need people to
many
pray,
issues.
and we need people to speak out, and we need reformers.
We do have an actual conflict of interest when the Attorney General is married to someone who's trying to author a bill to essentially attack our freedom of speech. You know, I would consider this to be a textbook conflict of interest, and I would consider it to be extremely unethical. Every journalist across the country should be pissed right now because an attack on Nick Shirley is essentially an attack on everybody. We need our freedom of speech. If we don't have our freedom of speech, what do we have? Next step, Second
This guy's
Amendment.
become a
You're
figurehead.
one of the few people who have
honestly,
opposed the Stop Nick Shirley Act. What made you oppose this bill?
Because I read the bill. I mean, it's as simple as that. You read the bill and you realize that it's against the First Amendment. It criminalizes citizen investigative journalists who take video and expose fraud. And that's what the bill's designed to do. It's designed to keep secrets, to keep the public from knowing what's going on. They don't want to end their fraud racket. A lot of the politicians, they benefit from the political organizations and various contractors and grantees that are getting money and getting it fraudulently. And so they want this racket to continue. They don't want the truth to get out. That's why they got the Stop Nick Shirley Act. I mean, when I looked at it, I said,
how many of them are involved in it? Yep. What? This stuff needs just to be looked into. I'm so tired of all the like fighting over. What would be a good analogy? With the tug of war, basically.
Clearly, if Nick Shirley had been in California and visited one of our Somali Leering centers with no daycares and no kids or a fake hospice, if this bill were enacted, he would be literally hauled into court, injunctive relief, restraining orders,
and I've definitely seen, even by where I live, some of those like buildings that just seem empty all the time. It's honestly pretty much everywhere.
a lot of money would be penalized to any investigative journalist. They're trying to bully up front, and if anyone has the audacity to videotape and post fraud, to bankrupt them. This is all about bullying and
Yeah, I mean, $4,000. That is a lot of money to most people. Like if you're looking at Nick Shirley and you're thinking about potentially doing something like this yourself, like I've thought about it. It's just way too much money for the average person to be able to fork over.
bankrupting citizen journalists. Can you imagine how outrageous it is to have an organization committing fraud, Somali Leering centers with no kids or fake hospices? You show up and you capture the evidence of their misdoings. The operator, the fraudster, hands you a business card that just simply says, "I hereby insist that you not post the video." That's all they have to do under the law. You then
that is
do the
ridiculous.
right thing, post the video so the public knows what's going on with their money. and they haul you into court and fine you and penalize you for breaking the law. That's the way they're going to weaponize this bill against.
Yeah, like I said, if you work for one of these organizations that's getting taxpayer money, then you should have the full expectation that you might be questioned every once in a while, and it should be okay.
Citizen journalists, and we can't allow it to happen. It's against the First Amendment. It will ultimately, if passed, get overturned in the Supreme Court, but in the meantime, it's a chilling of free speech, and it keeps secrets on all the fraud that's going on.
It's very concerning to know that right now you have politicians who are passing these bills knowing that it is violating the First Amendment.
Yeah. They don't care. And so I've been working the floor, handing them actual text. I said, did you just read the text? Because the author of the bill is lying. She says, oh no, it has nothing to do with the Nick Shirleys. It has nothing to do with citizen journalists.
I'm gonna write down that AB 2624. Yeah, see what I mean, by the way? It's just, it can be kind of difficult, I guess, to remember the bill names specifically, but it is literally being called the Nick Shirley Act. So, yeah, I'll look into that later and just read it myself. As should everyone. Just, I mean, this is a good video, and I do trust Nick Shirley, but you should still look into reading the bills yourself.
Lying. She says, oh no, it has nothing to do with the Nick Shirleys. It has nothing to do with citizen journalists. But when you read the text, it's plain English. It would make it a crime to post a video of evidence of fraud, and it would, result in very costly fines. So we want this language to be removed from the bill. Actually, I want the bill to be killed entirely, but at the very least, they need to take this provision out. The Stop Nick Shirley Act needs to be removed from the bill.
All the vagueness in the wording.
Services. It's very vague. That means
Yep.
healthcare, translation services, attorney services, daycares. It's very vague on what they're trying to say this bill is.
Literally anything and
It's
everything.
being backed by CHRLA.
The Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights LA, which is a taxpayer-funded organization that isn't really providing services. They're really organizing violent protests in LA. They're agitators, and they don't want people capturing their bad behavior on video. This is designed to protect them in the activities that they're doing.
And if this
Oh, of course they'd be able to.
organizations like CHRLA,
That's just a whole other loop to it too. Is because then they could just censor people who record those things. So evil, dude.
they would not even have to disclose the amount of money they're getting from taxpayers.
Correct. These organizations are
evil, dude.
If they have nothing to hide, why have this bill? And the way they define immigrant services is so broad that a fake hospice could say, well, one of our fake patients, one of our non-existent patients could have been an immigrant, so therefore we get protection under the bill as well. It is absolutely a bill designed to hide the fraud that's going on in the state of California, and the politicians clearly know that the investigative journalists are on the case, and they got to stop the investigative journalists before it's too late, before the public learns the truth.
And do you think there's a conflict of interest with Mia Bonta, husband being the AG, the Attorney General of the state? Meanwhile, he's trying to take credit for exposing the fraud. Meanwhile, she's trying to silence those that actually have exposed the fraud.
Jeez. Well, that censor is not very good, honestly. I could see that license
LA
plate.
in Southern California. You showed he wasn't doing his job. This isn't hard to find. He literally was ignoring it. And so you embarrassed him. You embarrassed him by showing that he's not doing his job to protect taxpayer funds. He then calls a press conference last week and says, oh, look, I took out 21 fraudsters. I'm thinking, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And now we've dismantled the fraud rings in California. No, they're not dismantled. You have 21. When you indict 21,
They're hiding the evidence
people,
and then
maybe
claiming
we're
they're
starting to
fixing
turn
the
corner.
problem.
And he referred to me as certain people.
Certain people. You did his job. You did his job. The job that he should have been doing all along. You did his job. You embarrassed him.
That's another thing. Government organization versus literally one dude. What are we talking about, man?
And now Mia Bonta, she doesn't want it to happen again, so she's trying to stop citizen journalists.
Man. Antifraudclub.com. Well, I'm not subscribed to him on this. That's Nick Shirley's video. Almost 500,000 views on this. What does his X account have? Because I'm sure he uploaded that video there. Was 18 hours ago. 807,000 views. Is this the full one? Yeah, there we go. 4.1 million views. Yeah. Yeah, let's leave off on this. My gosh. Yeah. If you're still here, thanks for watching this video. Right, and I will reiterate, what was it? AB 2624. Look it up, read it yourself. It's important to, I'm still trying to figure out how to navigate these government websites, but I'm trying to get more involved in my politics and reading all these bills that politicians are trying to pass. Is far too easy for people to get caught in the trap of voting for something just because they recognize a name on it, or they're voting over just red and blue for the point of red and blue. We need more people to start paying attention. And yep, that's it. All right, so I look it up, and it should be safe to like stream and record government website stuff. So I figured after I was reviewing the video that, you know, I could also just read the bill itself on stream or on video recording. I'm not streaming, but I'm just gonna read the basic bit of it and not all this extra mumbo jumbo down here. If anybody's interested, they can go read that, but that would be probably really boring to listen to. But I figured I'd go ahead and just read this. Legislative Council's Digest. Introduced by Assemblymember Bonta. Co-authors, Assembly members Bryan, Elowary, Lowenthal, and Ward. Senators Durazo, Gonzalez, Perez, and Rubio. April 20th, 2026. AB 2624, as amended, Bonta, Privacy for Immigration Support Service Providers. Existing law authorizes designated healthcare service providers, employees, volunteers, and patients, and individuals who face threats of violence or harassment from the public because of their affiliation with the designated healthcare service facility to complete an application to be approved by the Secretary of State for the purpose of enabling state local agencies to respond to requests for public records without disclosing a program participant's residence address contained in any public record, and otherwise provide for confidentiality of identity for that person, subject to specified conditions. Existing law defines designated healthcare services to mean gender-affirming healthcare services or reproductive healthcare services under existing law. Any person who makes a false statement in an application is guilty of a misdemeanor. Existing law prohibits a person, business, or association from knowingly, publicly posting, or publicly displaying disclosing, or distributing on internet websites or on social media the personal information or image of any designated healthcare service patient, provider, or assistant, or other individuals residing at the same home address with the intent to incite a third person to cause imminent or great bodily harm to the person identified in the posting or display, or to a core resident of that person as specified, or to threaten the person identified in the posting or display, or a core resident of that person as specified. Existing law additionally prohibits a person, business, or association from soliciting, selling, or trading on the internet or social media the personal information or image of a designated healthcare service, patient, provider, or assistant with the intent described above. Existing law establishes a cause of action and injunctive to declarative relief for a violation of these prohibitions. So my understanding of what this line here is saying is that it basically prohibits a person from posting someone's likeness or whatever on the internet in order to incite violence against them. Existing law prohibits a person from posting on the internet or social media with the intent that another person imminently use that information to commit a crime involving violence or a threat of violence against a designated health care service patient, provider, or assistant, or other individuals residing at the same home address. The personal information or image of a reproductive health care service patient, provider, or assistant, or other individuals residing at the same home address. Existing law makes a violation of this prohibition punishable by a fine of up to $10,000 per violation, imprisonment as specified, or by both that fine and imprisonment. So that's basically the same thing. The bill would similarly establish an address confidentiality program for designated immigration support service provider, employee, or volunteer as defined, who faces threats of violence or harassment from the public because of their affiliation with the designated immigrant support services facility. This bill would additionally prohibit a person, business, or association from soliciting, selling, or trading on the internet that person's information or image of a designated immigration support service provider, employee, or volunteer with the intent described above. The bill would also prohibit a person from posting on the internet, as described above, the personal information or image of a designated immigration support service provider, employee, or volunteer, or other individuals residing at the same home address. The bill would define various terms for these purposes by imposing new duties on local agencies and creating new crimes. This bill would create a state-mandated local program. Goodness, this is a lot more mumbo-jumbo than I expected. Existing constitutional provisions require that the statute that limits the right of access to the meeting of public bodies or the writings of public officials and agencies to be adopted with findings demonstrating the interest protected by the limitation and the need for protecting that interest. The bill would make legislative findings to that effect. The California Constitution requires the state to reimburse local agencies and school districts for certain costs mandated by the state. Statutory provisions establish procedures for making that reimbursement. With regard to any other mandates, this bill would provide that if the Commission on State Mandate determines that the bill contains costs so mandated by the state, reimbursement for those costs shall be made pursuant to the statutory provisions noted above.